In a little bookstore on the corner of a bustling city, Oliver found an old leather-bound notebook covered in dust. He wasn't planning to buy it, but something about the cover called to him, as if whispering secrets from places he'd never been. "I have enough notebooks," he muttered, yet his hands held tight as he walked to the cashier. Inside, each page was blank, except for a single date and place written in an elegant, swirling hand. That night, curiosity tugged him back to the notebook. He flipped to the first page, reading, "The Grand Cliffs of Montreaux, February 12, 1998. In a flash, his room vanished, replaced by icy winds and the towering Montreux cliffs before him. He stumbled backward, heart pounding, realizing he was no longer in his tiny apartment. "It's impossible," he gasped, as the scene around him shimmered in vivid detail. Birds flew overhead, the air felt crisp, and the sound of waves crashing below sent chills down his spine. As he turned, he saw a little boy holding a kite, smiling as if they were old friends. "Do you want to fly it?" asked the boy, handing him the string. Hesitantly, Oliver took it, feeling the power of the wind pulling against his grasp. For hours, they laughed, taking turns with the kite, until the scene began to fade, leaving Oliver back in his room. Shaken but thrilled, he knew he had to turn to the next page. The next destination read, "Himalayan Monastery, December 4, 1973. As he read the date, the room transformed again, and he found himself surrounded by monks meditating in the snow-capped mountains. One monk gestured for him to join, offering warmth with a serene smile. Oliver closed his eyes, attempting to meditate, but his mind raced with awe and disbelief. The monk's calm voice cut through his thoughts. "Travel broadens the mind but grounds the heart." The words filled him with a strange peace, as if they were meant to be a guiding mantra. When he opened his eyes, he was back in his apartment, a sense of purpose settling in his soul. Flipping further, the notebook read, "Hawaiian Coast, July 7, 1985. With a blink, he was on a beach, waves lapping at his feet, surrounded by the scent of salt and hibiscus. A group of surfers waved him over, handing him a surfboard and cheering him on. He hesitated, but their laughter was infectious, and soon he found himself paddling out with them. The thrill of catching his first wave was electrifying, filling him with laughter and pride. As the sun began to set, they gathered around a fire, sharing stories of adventure. One of the surfers told him, "The world has magic. Sometimes you just have to ride the waves to find it." Oliver returned home, his heart fuller and his confidence growing. Turning the page, he read, "Paris, CAF, September 19, 1992. Moments later, he was seated in a quaint Parisian CAF, the scent of fresh croissants in the air. A beautiful woman at the next table smiled at him, raising her glass in a toast. "Two chance encounters," she said with a wink, and they spent the afternoon sharing travel tales. She told him stories of courage and resilience, each one more inspiring than the last. "The world is waiting for you," she whispered before disappearing into the crowd. Oliver sat there, savoring the lesson, understanding that he was chasing not just places but wisdom. With renewed excitement, he flipped to the next page, "Saharan Desert, March 21, 1990. Instantly, he was surrounded by dunes stretching endlessly under the blazing sun. A group of nomads invited him to ride camels with them to their camp. They shared dates, stories, and laughter around a fire under the starlit sky. "The desert teaches patience," an elder told him, "and patience is the key to all things." Oliver felt humbled, absorbing the quiet strength of their way of life. Back in his apartment, he felt he was becoming a different person, enriched with each journey. The next location read, Tokyo Street Market, April 12, 2001. In a blink, he stood in a bustling market, surrounded by the aroma of street food and lively chatter. A vendor handed him a skewer of takoyaki, laughing at his wide-eyed wonder. Oliver joined the crowds, marveling at the vibrant culture surrounding him. A street performer caught his eye, her graceful dance weaving a story of resilience and joy. "Life is a dance," she said, bowing to him. "Don't miss a single step." As he reappeared in his room, he thought about how life itself was a series of wondrous, interconnected steps. He turned to the next page eagerly, finding New York rooftop, December 31, 2003. Suddenly, he was on a rooftop, watching fireworks light up the night as New Year's Eve approached. People around him hugged, laughed, and toasted, their faces aglow with hope. An elderly man handed him a glass, toasting to the journey. The man shared wisdom from years of travels, reminding Oliver that happiness is a treasure we carry within. Watching the fireworks, Oliver knew he would never see the world the same way again. Back in his room, he savored the experience, flipping the page to find Andes Mountains, October 5, 1989. He found himself trekking with a group, the crisp mountain air filling his lungs. A guide pointed to the snowy peaks, saying, "Climbing is like life. Each step brings you closer to yourself." Exhausted, but exhilarated, Oliver climbed higher, realizing the journey mattered as much as the destination. Each page brought a lesson, a memory, a laugh, filling him with newfound purpose. He next landed in Sydney Opera House, August 3, 2005. He stood among an audience, mesmerized by the music soaring through the hall. A performer greeted him after, saying, "Music is everywhere, you just have to listen." Oliver understood that life's moments, big and small, were part of a grand symphony. Back in his room, he cherished each experience, eager for more. With the next flip, he was in Venetian canals, April 1, 1997. He glided down the canals in a gondola, captivated by the city's timeless beauty. A gondolier sang, his voice echoing the romance of Venice's ancient walls. The song stayed with Oliver, teaching him to appreciate the beauty in each moment. Back in his apartment, he reflected on how each adventure transformed him. He turned to the last page, finding his own name and today's date. In an instant, he was at the bookstore, standing by the very shelf where he found the notebook. A young woman picked up the notebook, intrigued, and Oliver felt a smile tugging at his lips. "Maybe you should take it," he whispered to her with a knowing wink. She looked at him, surprised but intrigued, before heading to the cashier. As she walked out, Oliver waved, knowing her journey was about to begin. He realized his journey wasn't about travel but discovering the magic in his own life. The bookstore clerk nodded to him, as if in on the secret, and handed him a card. "Come back anytime," she said with a mysterious smile. Oliver tucked the card in his pocket, feeling grateful for his journey. Walking out, he felt lighter, more alive, his heart brimming with stories. He wandered through the city, seeing each place with new eyes and appreciation. The places he visited still lingered in his mind, each one a treasure. He realized he could carry the spirit of travel everywhere he went. Pausing by the river, he reflected on how far he'd come, both in miles and in growth. Watching people pass by, he smiled, knowing they each held stories of their own. He felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing he was part of something greater. "Thank you," he whispered to the city, feeling its life pulse around him. His journey was a gift, and he would cherish it forever. He took a deep breath, closing his eyes and feeling utterly present. Each moment felt alive, as if he were still traveling, still learning. Life, he realized, was his grandest adventure yet. With the notebook in another's hands, he knew a new story was beginning. He walked into the sunset, feeling like he was exactly where he was meant to be. As he strolled away, he understood he'd found not just places, but a new way to see. The world seemed different, yet it was he who had changed. Every street, every stranger was a world waiting to be explored. He laughed, feeling lighter than he'd ever felt.